At my sister's graduation party, which I paid for, she and my parents mocked my failures. I just smiled and raised a toast to her success. They had no clue that the very next day the panicked calls would begin, and their faces would turn pale when I watched my sister Livia raise her champagne glass, her perfect manicure catching the sunset's cruel glow across San Francisco's opulent skyline. This rooftop bar, the one I'd rented for her graduation party, cost more than my first car, but honestly, what was one more soul-crushing expense after everything else I'd given? My name is Hadley, and for 4 agonizing years, I'd poured my life's blood into funding my sister's gilded dream, all while I withered away in a cramped, lonely studio apartment. Tonight, it all came crashing down. I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight. Livia gushed, her voice sickeningly sweet, carrying across the chattering crowd. Especially my amazing parents who made all this possible. I took a long, burning sip of my drink, letting the bitter taste mirror the acid in my gut. Behind me, the bartender I'd paid extra to keep the top-shelf champagne flowing was popping another bottle. The sound echoed like a gunshot in my ears. "Sweetie, we're so proud of you!" My mother, Vanessa, called out, dabbing at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. "A degree from Berkeley. And now that marketing job offer." She rattled off the list, oblivious. The job I'd quietly arranged through my professional network. The degree I'd funded through careful, brutal investments and soul-crushing overtime hours. "Hadley, grab a picture of me with Mom and Dad." Livia waved her phone at me, her smile dazzling, completely unaware. I obliged, like always, capturing their perfect, manufactured family moment, safely hidden behind the camera. It was always my place, wasn't it? To be the invisible support. I mumbled an excuse about checking on the catering, ducking behind a decorative stone wall, desperate for a moment's reprieve. That's when their voices, like shards of glass, pierced the air. "Poor Hadley." My mother's voice, laced with mock pity, drifted over. "Still stuck in that accounting job. No husband, no real achievements to speak of. I worry about her." Then Livia's laugh, sharp and brittle. "She's just jealous. I mean, look at her. She couldn't even afford a new dress for tonight." My father's dismissive grunt joined the chorus. "Well, at least one daughter made something of herself." I pressed my palm flat against the cool, unforgiving stone, bracing myself. The dress they mocked, the one they deemed cheap, had cost me $300, a fortune after paying Livia's final tuition installment. It wasn't just a dress, it was my last shred of self-respect. "Hadley?" Bridget's voice made me jump, my best friend's touch on my arm gentle. "You okay?" I straightened, smoothing the fabric of my supposedly cheap dress, forcing a brittle smile. "Just peachy." "I heard them," she said quietly, her eyes full of concern. "You don't have to keep doing this." A profound calm, cold as frost, settled over me. "Actually," I said, my voice barely a whisper yet vibrating with a newfound resolve, "I think I'm done." I walked back to the party, intercepting a waiter with a tray of fresh champagne. Livia was holding court with her college friends, proudly flashing the designer watch I'd given her as a graduation gift. "Everyone!" I clinked my glass, drawing their attention. "I'd like to make a toast to my sister." Livia beamed, a dozen camera phones rising to capture her golden moment. "To Livia," I said, my voice clear and steady, each word a precisely aimed dart. "Who worked so hard for everything she has." I paused, meeting her eyes, holding her gaze. "Who never took anything for granted. Who absolutely deserves every single thing coming to her." "Ah, Hads." Livia bounced over to hug me, her expensive perfume, the kind I paid for, nearly choking me. "That's so sweet." My mother wiped away another tear, my father nodded approvingly, probably just relieved I'd kept it short and seemingly saccharine. None of them noticed my hands, clenched and trembling. None of them saw the knowing concern in Bridget's eyes. And none of them saw me slip away to the bathroom, pull out my phone, and send a single text. "It's time. Let's begin." Bridget's reply came instantly. "Are you sure?" I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. The woman looking back wasn't the doormat they'd trampled for years. She wasn't the ATM they'd taken for granted. She wasn't the sad, lonely failure they mocked behind decorative walls. No, that woman was gone. "Absolutely sure," I typed back, a grim satisfaction curling in my chest. "Execute everything exactly as planned." I returned to the party, accepting another glass of champagne. Might as well enjoy what I'd paid for, right? Livia was taking selfies against the sunset, our parents proudly watching their golden child, completely oblivious. Bridget appeared at my side. You know what? I smiled, real warmth flooding through me for the first time that evening, a warmth born of retribution. I actually am. Because this is the last time I'll ever have to pretend. To new beginnings, Bridget whispered, clinking her glass against mine. To calm, I replied softly, my gaze sweeping across the rooftop. Livia laughed at something on her phone, probably checking her social media likes. She had no idea her meticulously curated world was about to implode. None of them did. I'd spent years being the family backbone, the silent supporter, the endless resource. Tomorrow, they'd learn exactly what happens when a doormat decides to stand up. I raised my glass one final time, a private, defiant toast to myself. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky a blood red. Perfect timing. The first call came at 7:43 a.m. I watched Livia's name flash across my phone screen while sipping my morning coffee, letting it ring through to voicemail. 3 minutes later, she called again. And again. On the fourth call, I finally picked up. Hello, Hadley. Something's wrong with my accounts. Livia's voice was shrill with panic, a stark contrast to my serene morning. All my cards are declining, and I just got an email about my rent check bouncing. I took another calm sip of coffee, savoring the bitter warmth. That's strange. Did you call the bank? Of course, I called the bank. They're saying there's no money in any of my accounts. That's impossible. The trust fund payments always go through automatically. I thought back to last month, sitting in Josh's law office, signing the papers that would cleanly, legally transfer every single penny I'd invested under Livia's name back to my control. Maybe it's just a technical glitch, I offered mildly. I'm sure it'll sort itself out. My tuition balance is showing as unpaid, too. The university is threatening to withhold my diploma. She was crying now, the carefully constructed facade cracking. Can you please help? You're good with money stuff. I'll look into it after work, I said, knowing full well there was absolutely nothing to look into. My phone buzzed with another call. Aubrey, Livia's boyfriend. I declined it with a quiet smile, remembering the conversation I'd had with him last week. Listen, I told him bluntly. Livia's financial situation is about to change dramatically. Thought you should know, since you seemed so invested in her lifestyle. He'd understood immediately, the gold digger's instinct for self-preservation kicking in. My office phone rang. Hadley speaking. Your sister's hysterical. My mother's voice, sharp and demanding, offered no preamble. Fix whatever's wrong with her accounts. I'm at work, Mom. I can't don't give me excuses. She needs to pay her rent. And what about her new apartment deposit? The one in that luxury building? The one I'd never agreed to co-sign for, despite Livia's brazen assumptions. I'll look into it tonight. This is unacceptable. We're family. You need to handle this now. I ended the call, turning to my computer where an email from Ashton waited. The job offer in Geneva looked more tempting by the minute. My phone buzzed again. A text from Bridget. Livia just showed up at my apartment crying. Says Aubrey isn't answering her calls. Shocking, I texted back. Almost like he was only interested in her money. She's asking if she can crash here. What should I say? Tell her you're subletting to a family member next month. Stick to the plan. Around noon, my father called. Whatever game you're playing, stop it. He growled, his usual bluster tinged with desperation. Your sister's future is at stake. What game? I kept my voice innocent, almost sweet. I'm just as confused as everyone else. Like hell you are. You've always been jealous of her success. Dad, I cut in smoothly, a cold, hard edge to my tone. I have a meeting. We can discuss this at the family dinner on Thursday. I hung up before he could respond, turning back to my spreadsheet, the one documenting every dollar I'd ever given them, every investment I'd made in Livia's name, every sacrifice that had built their comfortable illusion. By 3 p.m., Livia was desperate enough to show up at my office. Please, she begged, mascara streaking her cheeks, looking utterly disheveled. I need money for food. Aubrey's not answering. My cards are all dead, and Mom and Dad say they can't help. Of course, they couldn't. Their own comfortable lifestyle depended entirely on my regular, silent gifts. That's terrible, I said, not looking up from my computer, deliberately letting the silence hang heavy. Have you considered getting a job? She stared at me like I'd suggested she sell a kidney. A job? But the trust fund? What trust fund? I finally met her eyes, a faint, knowing smile playing on my lips. The one Mom and Dad told you about. They said you handled all that. Did I? I tilted my head, my gaze unwavering. Did I ever actually say that? Color drained from her face as years of comfortable, self-serving assumptions began to crumble. Hadley, what did you do? She whispered, a dawning horror in her eyes. Me? I smiled, the same, chilling smile I'd worn at her party. I didn't do anything. I just stopped doing everything. She backed away from my desk, shaking her head in disbelief. You'll regret this. When Mom and Dad find out what? I pressed, each word a hammer blow. That the money they thought came from a mysterious family trust was actually from their supposedly unsuccessful daughter. That their perfect little world was built entirely on my sacrifices. I turned back to my computer, a satisfied hum in my throat. Should be an interesting conversation. The door slammed behind her, rattling the glass partition. My phone lit up with a text from Josh, all transfers complete. Everything's ironclad. I looked at the Geneva job offer again, then, with a decisive click, accepted. The game was on, and I had all the receipts. The Marshall Family Crisis Management meeting was held at my parents' house, the one I'd been quietly paying the property taxes on for 3 years. I arrived exactly on time, parking my sensible Honda next to Livia's now repossessed BMW. This is ridiculous. My mother paced the living room, phone pressed to her ear. I've been a valued customer for 20 years. I demand to speak to your supervisor. Dad sat slumped in his armchair, staring blankly at a stack of bounced check notices. Livia huddled on the couch, wearing yesterday's clothes, looking utterly shell-shocked. The bank says there's nothing wrong with their systems, Mom announced, hanging up, her voice a mix of fury and confusion. Hadley, you need to call them. Use your financial expertise or whatever. I already looked into it, I said, settling comfortably into a chair, crossing my legs. Everything seems to be in order, legally speaking. In order? Livia's voice cracked, raw with desperation. I am about to be evicted. My credit score is ruined. Aubrey won't even answer my texts. Have you considered getting a roommate? I suggested, my voice calm, almost helpful. Or moving somewhere more affordable? More affordable? Mom looked scandalized. She can't live in some cramped apartment like. She caught herself, but I finished for her, my gaze unwavering. Like me in my sad little studio? The one I could afford after paying for her degree? Silence fell heavy across the room, thick with unspoken accusations. Dad's head snapped up. What exactly are you implying? He demanded, his eyes narrowed. My phone buzzed. A text from Ashton, paperwork ready for Geneva. Need your signature by Friday. I'm not implying anything, I said, tucking my phone away. I'm just suggesting Livia might need to adjust her lifestyle. This is all your fault. Livia suddenly shrieked, jumping up. You did something to my accounts. You're punishing me because you're jealous. Jealous? I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make them flinch, to make them really hear me. Of what? Your carefully curated Instagram life? Your fake job credentials? Your gold digger boyfriend who disappeared the moment the money dried up? How dare you? Mom stepped toward me, her face flushed with outrage. After everything we've done for you? Everything you've done for me? I stood slowly, deliberately. Please enlighten me. What exactly have you done for me? We raised you. We supported you. Did you or did I support all of you? I pulled out my tablet, opening a folder labeled Family Expenses. Should we go through it year by year, dollar by dollar? Put that away, Dad ordered, but his voice wavered, his conviction gone. Make me understand. I continued, my voice steady, unyielding. Help me see how I'm the ungrateful one, when I've been funding this entire family's lifestyle for years. That's not true. Livia jumped up again. The trust fund. Show me the trust fund paperwork, I challenged, my eyes piercing through her facade. Show me one document that proves it exists. More silence. More shifting, guilty glances. I've called a family meeting for Thursday, I announced, watching their faces for a reaction. A proper one with full financial disclosure. I suggest you all attend. Or what? Mom's voice was dangerous, though her eyes betrayed her fear. Or you can continue trying to access accounts that no longer exist, calling banks that can't help you, and pretending this isn't happening. I headed for the door, my mission accomplished. Your choice. Wait. Livia called out, her voice desperate. What about my rent? What am I supposed to do? I paused at the doorway. You know. I asked, looking back at her, a bitter truth in my voice. I asked myself that same question 4 years ago, when I was working 3 jobs to pay your tuition. Funny how no one cared about my housing situation then. My phone buzzed again. Bridget, this time, emergency. Livia is trying to access those backup accounts you mentioned during your night 2 years ago. I smiled, remembering those accounts, the empty ones I'd set up as decoys, knowing this day would come. One more thing. I turned back. Don't bother trying to access any other accounts you might remember me mentioning. Those funds have been reallocated. You can't do this to us. Mom wailed. We're family. Family? I met each of their eyes in turn, letting the word hang heavy with the weight of its broken promise. Funny how that word only matters when you need something from me. I walked out, closing the door on their protests, on their stunned, disbelieving faces. In my car, I pulled up the Geneva job offer again. VP of Investment Strategy. Starting in 2 months. A fresh start. An ocean away from their manipulation. My phone rang. Ashton again. Hey, he said, his voice cheerful. The moving company you asked about can handle international relocations. Want me to set up a consultation? Yes, I said, starting my car, the engine purring a promise of freedom. And Ashton, thank you for everything. You're doing the right thing. He said quietly, understanding. They needed this wake-up call. I drove home to my small studio, already feeling lighter, thinking about Thursday's meeting, about the spreadsheets I'd prepared, the documents I'd gathered, the truth I'd finally expose. Let them panic for 2 more days. Let them scramble and scheme and try to access empty accounts. The real shock, the truly devastating reality, was yet to come. Livia ambushed me outside my apartment the morning before the family meeting. She looked terrible. Unwashed hair, dark circles under her eyes, wearing the same designer clothes from days ago, now rumpled and stained. We need to talk, she said, pushing past me into my studio, not waiting for an invitation. Please come in, I muttered, closing the door behind her, a grim amusement bubbling inside me. She paced my small living space, her eyes wide as she took in the IKEA furniture and bare walls. Is this really how you live? She asked, a sneer in her voice. Some of us can't afford West Elm when we're paying someone else's BMW payments. I retorted, letting a sliver of the truth cut through. She spun to face me. I know what you're doing. You're trying to punish me because you're bitter about your own failures. I poured myself a cup of coffee, not offering her any. Failures like my 6-figure investment portfolio? My perfect credit score? My new job offer? I sipped my coffee slowly, letting each word hang in the air. VP position in Geneva. Starting salary is triple what I make now. She sank onto my futon, her posture deflating. You're leaving? Turns out, when you're not supporting an entire family, you can actually focus on your own career. But you can't leave. Her voice cracked, a flicker of genuine fear in her eyes. What about Mom and Dad? What about me? What about you? I set my mug down hard, the ceramic clinking loudly. What about when I needed help? When I worked overtime until I got ulcers? When I lived on ramen to pay your sorority dues? I never asked for that. She cried, clutching at straws. No, you just took. And took and took. And then you mocked me behind my back at parties I paid for. Her face went white, the color draining from it. You heard that? I hear everything, Livia. I see everything. I've documented everything. Is that what tomorrow's meeting is about? You're going to humiliate us. I'm going to tell the truth for once. She stood, switching tactics, her voice going soft, pleading, a practiced vulnerability. Hadley, please. We can fix this. I'll get a job. I'll pay you back. With what skills? I cut in, my voice laced with contempt. Your fake marketing experience? Those padded resumes I found on your laptop? You went through my laptop? No. Aubrey sent me copies. Amazing what people will share when the money dries up. She crumpled, tears starting, a true, unfeigned despair finally surfacing. Why are you being so cruel? Cruel? I laughed, a bitter hollow sound. Was it cruel when Mom called me a disappointment at Christmas? When Dad said I was wasting my potential? When you told your friends I was just jealous of your success? That was different, wasn't it? We were just what? Just destroying my self-worth? Just using me as your personal bank? Just treating me like garbage while I sacrificed everything for you? My phone buzzed. Bridget, your mom's trying to access your old accounts at Pacific Bank. I smiled. Tell me, how's Mom doing with her desperate bank calls? Livia's eyes narrowed, a flash of her old malice returning. You're enjoying this. Maybe I am. I admitted, a genuine, if dark, satisfaction finally emerging. Maybe after years of being your doormat, I finally learned to stand up. By destroying our lives? No. By stopping you from destroying mine. I opened my door. See you tomorrow at the meeting. Don't be late. You won't want to miss the PowerPoint presentation. Wait. She grabbed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong. What about my student loans? They're going to default. I gently removed her hand. Funny thing about those loans, Livia. They never existed. I paid your tuition in cash every semester. She staggered back, a look of complete bewilderment on her face. That's impossible. The trust fund. Say trust fund one more time. I challenged, my voice dangerously low. Keep clinging to that fantasy. My phone buzzed again. Ashton, lease signed on your Geneva apartment. Riverview, just like you wanted. Get out, Livia. I said quietly, firmly. Go home. Prepare yourself for tomorrow. Because after I'm done, none of you will ever see me as the family ATM again. She left, mascara streaking her cheeks, her shoulders slumped. I watched her walk away, no longer feeling the crushing guilt that used to consume me. My laptop chimed with an email from Josh. Final documentation prepared for tomorrow. Everything's ironclad. They can't touch your assets. I opened the presentation I'd prepared. Slides of bank statements, transfer records, property tax payments, years of financial manipulation laid bare and clean, corporate formatting. My phone rang. Dad. This time, I let it go to voicemail. Hadley. His message was gruff, desperate. Whatever you're planning tomorrow, think about your mother. Think about your sister. Think about. I deleted it before he could finish. They'd never thought about me, after all. Tomorrow they'd learn exactly what their perfect little world was built on. Tomorrow they'd face the truth about their golden child's success. Tomorrow they'd understand exactly what they were losing. And then I'd board a plane to Geneva, leaving them to clean up their own mess for once. I closed my laptop, a slow, triumphant smile spreading across my face at the thought of their faces when they saw the first slide. The real cost of family, a financial autopsy. I booked the small conference room at Josh's law office for the family meeting. Professional. Neutral. Perfect for a corporate-style takedown. They arrived together, Mom, Dad, and Livia, looking like they hadn't slept in days. Bridget sat in the corner, ostensibly taking notes, but really there as my unwavering witness. Josh stood by the door, silent and watchful, a silent guardian. What's all this? Dad gestured at the projector screen, his voice tight. Why do we need lawyers? Sit down, I said, clicking my laptop to life, my voice calm, unwavering. We have a lot to cover. The first slide appeared, a simple spreadsheet showing 4 years of transactions. Let's start with Livia's education. I began, each word precise. Berkeley tuition, $45,000 per year. Sorority dues, $3,000 per semester. Housing, $2,800 monthly. Personal allowance, $2,000 monthly. We know all this. Mom interrupted, her voice shrill. The trust fund. There is no trust fund. I clicked to the next slide. There never was. These are transfers from my personal accounts, routed through shell companies I created to maintain your illusion. Livia's face went utterly pale, a ghostly white. Dad started to stand, but Josh cleared his throat meaningfully, a subtle warning. Moving on to property taxes. I continued, ignoring their stunned silence. Mom, Dad, your house payments have been coming from me for 3 years, along with your car payments, insurance, and that renovation you insisted was essential. That's not possible, Dad whispered, completely defeated. Our investments were liquidated 2 years ago to cover Livia's shopping sprees and Aubrey's business ventures. Another slide. I clicked. You gave him $50,000 of what you thought was trust fund money. It was my savings. You're lying, Livia said, but her voice shook, the conviction gone. I placed a stack of folders on the table with a soft thud. Bank statements. Transfer records. Tax documents. Every dollar I'd given this family, meticulously tracked and documented. Mom reached for a folder with trembling hands, her eyes scanning the undeniable figures. But your job? You couldn't afford. I worked 3 jobs in secret, invested aggressively, lived on nothing while funding your lavish lifestyle. I clicked again. Here's my actual salary history, and here's what I gave away each year. The numbers were staggering, stark in black and white. Their faces showed the slow, horrible realization. The truth, finally, had them in its grip. The trust fund story was convenient, wasn't it? I continued, my voice betraying no emotion. It let you take and take without guilt, without gratitude, without ever questioning where the money really came from. Why? Dad's voice cracked, raw with the pain I had caused, but that felt deserved. Why go through all this deception? Because you needed to believe Livia's success was self-made. That her achievements were her own. That she was better than your other daughter, the sad accountant with no life. Livia started crying, a soft, desperate sound. Mom reached for her automatically. Don't comfort her, I snapped, my voice rising for the first time. Look at the screen. Look at what your golden child really is. A fraud propped up by the daughter you dismissed. We never meant, Mom began, her voice trailing off. To mock me at the graduation party? To call me jealous, bitter, a failure? Let's talk about failure. Next slide. Livia's falsified resumes. Her fake job experience. The internships I arranged through my network that she claimed as her own accomplishments. Stop it! Livia screamed, finally breaking. Just stop. Why? You never stopped taking. Never stopped lying. Never stopped pretending you earned any of this. Josh stepped forward, placing another document on the table. This is Miss Marshall's resignation from all financial responsibilities regarding her family. Effective immediately. Resignation? Dad grabbed the paper, his face crimson. What does that mean? It means I'm done. I closed my laptop, the click final, definitive. No more money. No more support. No more silent sacrifices. You can't just abandon us. Mom's voice rose hysterically, tears streaming down her face. Watch me. I stood, gathering my things. I start my new job in Geneva next month. Triple my current salary, as I mentioned. But don't worry, I won't be sharing it this time. Geneva? Dad's face went red with rage and disbelief. You're leaving the country? I've already signed the lease. First time I've spent money on myself in years. Feels good. Bridget stood, joining me at the door, a silent pillar of support. Josh handed them each a final envelope. Cease and desist orders, he explained professionally. Any attempts to access Miss Marshall's accounts or contact her after today will result in legal action. Hadley, please. Livia tried one last time, reaching out desperate. We're family. I paused at the door, looking back at their shocked, broken faces. No, we're not. We're just people who share DNA and a lot of financial transactions. And as of today, both of those relationships are terminated. I walked out, Bridget beside me, leaving them with their folders full of truth and their world in pieces. You okay? Bridget asked softly, her hand on my arm. Actually, I smiled, a genuine, untroubled smile. I've never been better. Behind us, I could hear Livia's sobs, Mom's protests, Dad's angry, defeated voice. But for the first time in years, none of it was my problem. I was free. The aftermath hit social media before I even got home from the law office. Livia's Instagram story came first, a tearful video, shot in her car, the lighting carefully chosen to make her look heartbroken. I need to talk about financial abuse, about how family can manipulate and control you through money. I watched it with Bridget over takeout in my apartment, both of us laughing at the sheer audacity. She's really trying to spin this, Bridget said, reaching for more pad thai. Bold strategy. My phone buzzed constantly with messages from flying monkeys, distant relatives, family friends, even old classmates, all demanding explanations. How could you do this to your sister? One aunt wrote. She's devastated. I typed back, ask her about the $250,000 I spent on her education. The messages stopped after I started responding with specific dollar amounts. Ashton called around midnight. Your sister's post is going viral, in the worst way. Want me to release those bank records we documented? Not yet, I said. A cold certainty in my voice. Let her dig the hole deeper. By morning, Livia had posted a full YouTube video, complete with dramatic music and carefully curated tears. She painted herself as the victim of a jealous older sister's financial manipulation, carefully omitting any mention of actual numbers or dates. I trusted her to manage my trust fund, she sobbed to the camera. I never knew she was using it to control me. Mom joined the circus next, posting long Facebook rants about ungrateful children and family loyalty, each one carefully crafted to make me look like the villain while preserving their image of upper-middle-class prosperity. Your mother just tried to access your investment account again. Josh texted. Third attempt today. I forwarded the message to Bridget, who was monitoring the social media fallout. They're getting desperate. Check your email, she replied. Aubrey just sent something interesting. I opened my inbox to find a forwarded email chain, screenshots of Livia begging various friends and acquaintances for loans, making wild promises about repayment once she sorted out this trust fund situation. Should we release these? Bridget asked. Not yet. Wait for it. Right on cue, my father called. I let it ring through to voicemail. Hadley. His voice was gruff with forced control. This social media campaign needs to stop. You're embarrassing the family. If you agree to resume the regular payments, we can forget this whole thing happened. I texted back a screenshot of his bounced country club membership check. The next call was from Livia's university. Apparently, she tried to claim her degree was fully paid for by scholarships. I forwarded them 4 years of tuition receipts from my personal account. Your sister just went live on Instagram, Bridget reported. She's calling you a sociopath. I smiled, opening my laptop. Time to end this. I prepared a simple blog post weeks ago, anticipating their reaction. Just facts, figures, and bank statements. No emotional manipulation. No dramatic music. Just cold, hard financial reality. A response to recent claims, I titled it, then hit publish. Within hours, the tide turned. Livia's followers started questioning her story. People did the math on her lifestyle versus her claimed income. Former classmates remembered her bragging about her family money. This is better than Netflix, Ashton commented, sending me screenshots of the fallout. Mom called next, her voice shrill with panic. Take down that post immediately. Do you know what this is doing to our reputation? Funny, I replied, a cold satisfaction in my voice. You weren't worried about my reputation when you called me a failure at Livia's party. That was different. We're your parents. Not anymore. You're just people who owe me a lot of money. I hung up as another email arrived from Aubrey, offering to sell more screenshots of Livia's desperate messages in exchange for cash. Tell him I'll pass, I wrote to Bridget. The truth is doing enough damage on its own. My phone buzzed with a text from Josh. Your parents are trying to refinance their house. Bank denied them due to insufficient income. I closed my laptop, feeling strangely empty. The revenge was complete. The truth was out, but something still nagged at me. You okay? Bridget asked softly, sensing my mood. I thought I'd feel better, I admitted, a sigh escaping my lips. More satisfied. Maybe because deep down, you know, this isn't about making them suffer. It's about finally being free. She was right. The viral posts, the family drama, the public shame. None of it mattered as much as the simple, profound fact that I was finally, completely, irrevocably done. My phone lit up with another notification. Livia, posting yet another tearful video. I turned the phone face down without watching it. Let them rage. Let them spin their stories. Let them face the consequences of their actions. I had a plane ticket to Geneva and a new life waiting. That was all that mattered now. The final explosion came 3 days before my flight to Geneva. I was packing boxes, a quiet sense of anticipation filling my small studio, when Bridget burst in without knocking. Turn on your phone, she demanded, her voice urgent. Right now. I'd kept it off all morning, enjoying the peaceful silence. When it powered up, the notifications flooded in, a digital tsunami. Livia had gone nuclear. Her latest video had over 1 million views already. In it, she sat with our parents, all three of them looking appropriately somber as they revealed the truth about my mental state, claiming I'd fabricated everything due to a psychotic break. "We should have seen the signs," Mom sniffled on camera, her voice dripping with fake concern. "The isolation, the obsessive record-keeping, the paranoid delusions about supporting us financially. Did they really think this would work?" I asked Bridget, an odd calm settling over me, the kind that comes before a storm. My phone rang. "Ashton. Check your email now." The subject line read, "Thought you might need these." Inside were dozens of emails between Livia and various companies, her attempting to leverage her social media following for sponsorships, desperately trying to maintain her lifestyle. But the real bomb was in the attachments, screenshots of her private messages with Aubrey, planning this latest video, meticulously crafting their victim narrative. "Time to end this?" Bridget asked quietly, her eyes meeting mine. "Ready?" I nodded, a single, resolute word. "Time to end this." We spent the next hour uploading everything. Bank statements showing my payments for their mortgage. Email threads about Livia's fake resumes. Text messages from my parents demanding money. The legal documents proving I'd funded everything. But the killing blow was the audio file, a crystal clear recording from Livia's graduation party, capturing their cruel mockery word for word. "Send it," I told Bridget, my voice barely a whisper. She hit publish on my behalf, then hugged me tight as I finally broke down. "It's okay," she whispered, stroking my hair. "Let it out." Years of suppressed emotion poured out. Not just anger or satisfaction, but grief for the family I'd never really had. The support I'd never received. The love that had only flowed one way. My phone exploded with notifications as the truth spread like wildfire. Livia's followers turned on her. The family friends who'd condemned me went silent, their hypocrisy exposed. Local news outlets started calling. Then came the text from Josh, "Your parents are at my office threatening legal action. Should I show them the trust fund documentation?" "Show them everything," I replied, a chilling finality in my words. An hour later, he sent an update. They left in tears. "Your father said," and I quote, "We didn't know. We really didn't know." "They knew," I texted back. "They just didn't care." Ashton called next. "The Geneva apartment is ready. Want me to move up your flight?" I looked around at my half-packed boxes, my heart pounding with anticipation. "Yes, please." Social media was in meltdown. Livia's influencer career was imploding in real time as sponsors dropped her. Mom's Facebook friends were sharing my evidence, turning their perfect family image to ash. "Hadley," Bridget said softly, showing me her phone. "Look." A new video was going viral. Aubrey, speaking directly to the camera from what looked like an expensive hotel room. "Everything Livia claimed is a lie," he stated flatly. "I watched her spend her sister's money for years. Watched her mock the person who gave her everything. The real victim here isn't Livia, it's Hadley." My phone buzzed with a text from Livia. "You've ruined everything. I hope you're happy." For the first time, I replied. "No, Livia, you ruined everything. I just stopped paying for it." I blocked her number immediately after. Mom tried next. "Please, we can fix this. We're still family." Block. "Dad, you've destroyed your mother. How could you?" Block. "Feel better?" Bridget asked, a small smile playing on her lips. I nodded, surprising myself by actually meaning it. "Help me pack. My flight leaves tomorrow night." We spent the evening boxing up my small life, laughing at old photos, sharing memories. Around midnight, Ashton stopped by with champagne. "To new beginnings," he toasted. "To freedom," Bridget added, clinking her glass against mine. "To the truth," I finished, a profound sense of peace washing over me. My phone had one final notification. A message from Josh. "Just so you know, your parents tried to access their home equity line. Bank denied them. Reality is setting in hard." I turned off my phone for the last time in America. Looking around at my packed boxes, my empty apartment, my real friends who'd helped me through everything. "You know what's funny?" I told them. "They spent years calling me a failure, but I'm the only one who can actually support myself." Bridget hugged me tight. "You're not just supporting yourself anymore. You're thriving." Ashton raised his glass again. "To Hadley, the most successful marshal of them all." I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in years. Tomorrow, I'd board a plane to my new life, leaving behind the wreckage of their carefully constructed lies. They wanted to play victim? Fine. They could do it without my money, my support, or my silence. I was done being their ATM. I was done being their scapegoat. I was just done. And it felt absolutely perfect. The Geneva winter sunset painted my office in shades of gold as I finished another successful investment meeting. My team filed out, leaving me alone with the breathtaking view of Lake Geneva sparkling below. My phone buzzed. Bridget's weekly video call. "You will not believe what your sister's doing now," she said without preamble, a grin on her face. "Hit me. She's working as a waitress. Actually working. Your mom's selling her designer bags on consignment, and your dad's interviewing for middle management positions." I smiled, shuffling papers on my desk, a quiet satisfaction settling in. Good. They needed to learn. They're still talking about you, you know, but differently now. Your mom actually admitted to her book club that you paid for everything. Probably because she needs their sympathy. I mused. Maybe, but it's progress, right? A soft knock at my door interrupted us. Ashton, holding a package. "Call you back," I told Bridget. The package was heavy, wrapped in brown paper. Inside was a photo album and a letter in Josh's familiar handwriting. "Thought you should see this. Your family's house sold at auction last week. They're moving into an apartment. Livia is working 2 jobs. Your mother's starting therapy. Your father stopped drinking. They're learning to live within their means for the first time." I flipped through the album. Newspaper clippings about their financial downfall. Screenshots of Livia's much humbled social media presence. Photos of the house sale. The last page held a handwritten note from my mother, Hadley. "I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know. I understand now. I see what we did to you, what we took from you. I'm sorry. Not because we got caught, but because we hurt you." "Mom, you okay?" Ashton asked softly, noticing my stillness. "Better than okay," I replied, closing the album, a profound sense of closure finally washing over me. "Ready for dinner?" That new place by the lake. Over wine and pasta, Ashton updated me on the latest office gossip, the hum of my new, fulfilling life. My phone buzzed occasionally. Work messages. Friends checking in. Life moving forward, vibrant and full. Not one message from my family. They'd finally learned. "Package for you at reception," the maitre d' announced, bringing over a small box. Inside was a framed photo from Bridget. Me, at Livia's graduation party, raising that final toast, but she'd added text over it, "Here's to karma, consequences, and choosing yourself." Perfect timing, I told Ashton. "This is going on my office wall." Speaking of timing, he reached into his jacket. "The board approved your proposal. You're officially running our new investment division." I took the contract, smiling at the 7-figure salary. "Not bad for the family failure." "You were never a failure," he said seriously. "They just needed you to feel like one so they could keep using you." My phone lit up. Bridget again. Livia just posted about learning valuable life lessons about privilege and responsibility, with a photo of her in her waitress uniform. I laughed, showing Ashton. "Now that's karma. You could reach out," he suggested carefully, a hint of hope in his voice. "If you wanted." "I don't," I said simply, without a trace of malice, only peace. They're learning to stand on their own feet. Finally, the waiter brought dessert, chocolate soufflé with 2 spoons. Through the window, I could see the lights of Geneva reflecting on the lake, my new home sparkling with possibility. "You know what the best revenge is?" I asked Ashton, my gaze fixed on the shimmering water. "What's that?" "Living well. Building something real. Succeeding on my own terms." He raised his wine glass. "To living well." My phone buzzed one last time. Josh, sending a final update. "Your parents asked me to forward their new address, in case you ever want to contact them. Should I?" I typed back, "No. Some chapters need to stay closed." The soufflé was perfect. The wine excellent. The company exactly what I wanted. No guilt. No obligation. No family drama draining my energy and bank account. Just me, my success, and the life I'd chosen. "Ready to go?" Ashton asked as we finished. I looked out at Geneva, at my future, at everything I'd built for myself. More than ready. We stepped out into the crisp Swiss night, my heels clicking on ancient cobblestones. Above us, stars sparkled in a clear sky. Ahead of us, the lake reflected 1,000 lights. Behind us, an ocean away, my family was finally learning to live in the world they'd created for themselves. And I was exactly where I needed to be. Not all endings need to be neat and tidy. Not all stories need reconciliation. Sometimes the perfect ending is simply walking away and never looking back. I'd chosen myself, finally, completely, irrevocably. And I'd never felt more free.